Hi, I'm Nathan. I go by Peteparker, and every week I do comic book reviews because that's the rule around my house. If I want to keep buying them, I got to review them. So this review is going to be for Wolverine number 13 by Jason Aaron and Renato Guedes. This is another in the series where Wolverine is going up against the Red Right Hand, who have kind of been trying to set him up so that they can put him into extreme misery for all the bad things that he's done to them. And this is another one of the stories where we learn about one of the members of the Red Right Hand and what her deal is, why she hates Wolverine so much. And then you get a little bit of progression of the story as far as who all these bad guys that the Red Right Hand has kind of created and trained, who they are, and you get a little bit of story as far as Wolverine killing the last of this group and finally getting to the actual controlling members of the Red Right Hand. So this is the last issue for before the conclusion and before the giant big reveal that has been building up all this time. The first thing I thought about when I got to the end of this book, I was like, whoa, this is like such the build-up and such the culmination of this entire long arc, and these characters have been around since for 13 issues or so now, I think. So I feel like it's a very much like a comic blue balls. I hesitate to say that because you're so there, you're right on the edge, but then you're like, oh, I gotta wait until the next issue comes out. And I think it's a month, but even if it's 2 weeks, it's 8-10. Oh, next week. Awesome. So you only get blue balls, comic blue balls from this for a week before you get the incredible conclusion. But it cannot come fast enough. Getting to this point, it's like, oh, I gotta wait a week. But it's still great. The whole story put together is much better than it seems from any one individual issue, for those of you who just pick up an issue and check it out. One of the main things about all of these characters here, the assassins of the Red Right Hand, is that they're really cheesy, and Wolverine plows through them really easily. That was one of my main complaints as soon as I started reading this series. And, of course, Jason Aaron's probably sitting back and laughing at that kind of comment that he probably have gotten from 100 different people, because it's all intentional. It's all part of the master plan of the whole thing. The hard part is when you pick up one issue of this and you've got these cheesy background characters that are getting killed really easily and you are not interested in them or whatever, it makes it really hard to sell somebody on continuing to read. Now, obviously, it worked for me, but that really has a lot to do with the incredible artwork that's very consistent, the standalone Wolverine story in general, which you don't get enough of everywhere else. Everywhere else, Wolverine's on a team, and he's always got 2 cents to chime in about a situation, but you don't get a lot of this exploration into his own mythos and kind of going off on his own adventures. So this is very worth it in that respect. There is a very interesting aspect also played out in this book where it kind of talks about all of the ninjas, namely the Hand, who have been killed and get resurrected and what their role is. So it kind of fills out kind of the behind-the-scenes stuff of the Hand in general, which is really great too. It's stuff that you've never really thought about. A lot of Wolverine stories or even superhero stories in the past, they plow through a whole lot of bad guys really quickly, kill them all, and move on. But this kind of addresses those piles of ninjas that you see sitting around from before and what happens to them, or what happens to the guys that survive, and what happens to the people that are brought back, since the Hand has the ability to bring people back to life if they bring anybody back to life. So that's all excellent, and that made the story of the young woman who's a part of the Red Right Hand more interesting as well. I don't think it's the best kind of Red Right Hand member backstory. I think the one from the last issue was really awesome, but it is still really good, and I cannot wait to see what happens apparently next week. That's what it says in the back, so that's what I'm going to believe. On sale 8/10, Wolverine number 14, The Bloody Conclusion on Wolverine's Revenge. And doing that is pretty incredible too. To write a really great book with really great art and also have it come out on every week, that's pretty intense and pretty amazing. So all props to Jason Aaron and the entire crew on the Wolverine book. Because this is kind of an intermediary issue and I didn't like the backstory as much as I've liked a lot of them, I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 5, but still very high marks. It's better than average for sure. You really should be reading this if you have any inclinations about Wolverine as a character by himself. So there you go, Wolverine 13. That's a 4 out of 5. If you want to look for my other reviews, you can follow me on Twitter. I'll start putting them out that way as far as this week goes, and from here on out, I'm just Peteparker on Twitter. And then you can also follow me on YouTube on Spidey207 is the YouTube name. So otherwise, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.